welcome to our show tonight. Welcome to our We'll Sing and We'll Shout with your host, Steve Hansen. We're excited to have you on here tonight to your favorite show. And tonight is our fourth installment of Cheryl's Boyfriend's Countdown Calendar. So we'll be getting to that here in just a moment. I hope everybody is enjoying this beautiful spring weather, at least that we have here in Utah anyway. I was out at the rec center today and got some good basketball practice in and lifted the weights. And when we're done here, I'm actually going to go out to the high school track about a mile away and get a little exercise out there. So I'm very much enjoying this good weather and hope that you are too. Without further ado, I think we're going to jump right into the main story here tonight. And then I may have a few wrap-up comments at the end. But Cheryl, we're gonna go ahead and cut you loose.
All right, I'm here. Last week I had to rewrite my list of boyfriends because I lost my other one who was in a purse that got lost or something. But I rewrote it and I actually have more than 50, so that's a little silly. But are you there, Steve?
I threw a quote up on the screen here.
Oh,
I don't know if you can see that, but it says the first symptom of true love in a man is timidity. How do you pronounce
timidity.
that? Timidity.
Uh-huh.
And in a young woman, boldness. And I saw that show up in my Facebook feed today, and I thought that is so interesting. In my experience, that is so true.
Yeah.
I was very timid as a young man, and the young women around me were fairly bold in comparison.
Right. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I thought, wow, Victor has got it nailed there. Obviously, he had his own experiences. So with that, let's go ahead and let you talk about your boldness.
All right. Well, Dad used to get embarrassed of me sometimes because he was always like, "Oh, the girl's supposed to wait for the boy to ask her out," that kind of thing.
Right.
With Pat Waldock, I just pursued him like crazy. I mean, he's a
Right.
story for another day, but
Right.
yeah, when I see a guy that I want, I just go after him.
There you go.
So
That's how those Bellevue girls do it.
seemed to work.
I know all about that.
Yep. So we're coming up on. I did seventh grade, and so now we're coming up on eighth grade, and I had a few different boyfriends in eighth grade. See, you have to understand that being LDS or Mormon, we have like our church world, and then we have in Bellevue, we had our school world. And they were kind of two separate entities, really,
They were.
because
Yeah.
Bellevue was 20 minutes from Sandusky, which is where our church was. So it was like two different worlds. So I had my school boyfriends and I had my church boyfriends. But so
And
the
your
guy
vacation boyfriends.
yeah, you know what? I actually have this one guy on my list, Skip the Dip. We met him in Niles, Michigan when we were over there doing something with Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah.
And so, he and I wrote back and forth for a few minutes. But anyway, I don't even know his last name. I just call him Skip the Dip. I am so terrible. All right. So the guy I chose to talk about tonight is actually a church boyfriend, which is what my parents always wanted for me, of course. When I was in, I think between seventh and eighth grade, the Birch family moved into our um, Sandusky ward, and they actually lived in Sandusky and went to school at Sandusky High School. And of course, we were in Bellevue. But they had a very tall, lanky son named Rodney. They also had an older sister named Becky, and then Rodney, and then there was a younger sister named Sandra. And then there was Doug, and the little baby was Sean at the time. So there was 5 at the time. I think they ended up with 8 altogether.
I did not remember that. He was the principal of Sandusky High School. Cheryl, did we just lose you for some reason? I think we did. I think we lost Cheryl for some reason.
Tell her
Cheryl, if
I'm
you
doing.
can't. Oh, there you are. Okay. Are you still there? Well, this is a wonderful production when things don't work. Yeah, I think you're back. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that, Allison. I think I accidentally butt dialed her a few minutes ago when I was trying to get a hold of you. And so she probably thinks I called her. So she's trying to get a hold of me. But anyway, hopefully she'll just leave us alone.
I was
So,
just mentioning that he was principal of Sandusky High School. That's why he was brought in there.
oh, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He was, they actually lived in Saudi Arabia before they came to Ohio. So Becky and Rodney were really steeped in that tradition. They knew all about it. And
Oh,
then they went to a school
wow.
in Southern Ohio, Rootstown, or I think Rootstown was the name of it, before they came to Sandusky. So they
Okay.
just moved around a lot. But so anyway, having them in our Sandusky ward was wonderful because our young people group was pretty small most of the time, and to all of a sudden have an influx of three young people, two girls and a boy, was really exciting. And there were probably three or four of us girls that might have been interested in Rodney, but he was interested in me. What can I say? So we we were only in eighth grade at the time, or I was in eighth, he was in ninth, and LDS culture, you're not even allowed to date till you're 16. But we would flirt at church and write each other notes. And the Birch mother's name is Aloma, and she really became like a second mother to me. So I was at their house a lot, just hanging out with the two sisters, Becky and um, Sandy. So, I would see Rodney, but we'd write each other notes and stuff like that. But it was kind of funny. We just, as much as we kind of wanted it to be a romance, we never really got past the brother sister phase of it. It didn't work at that point in time. But it wasn't like we weren't both trying. For some reason, it was just an awkward situation. We stayed friends the whole time. We would dance at the dances. We were really like a brother and sister more than a kind of a love couple. But when we had our blizzard of 78 there we were stuck at the farm down the lane, and we were snowed in for days. And my dad moved all of us to the basement. We lost our electricity at the farm and we had no other source of heat, which is kind of silly when you think about it. But so it was me, Steve, David, and Ben. We're all in the basement with my dad. My mom happened to be in the hospital in Columbus. So our two younger brothers were with other families near Sandusky and Milan who kept their power, luckily. So the two younger boys, Andy was pretty young at the time, they were with people who had power. So we were really grateful about that. So as we were in our basement, the one miracle that we had at the farmhouse was that the phone kept working for some reason. I don't know why that blizzard didn't knock those phone wires down, but somehow it
Right.
didn't.
Right.
So I would call the Birches a lot for moral support because I was so distraught, thought we were all going to die in that basement. Um, I thought we were going to freeze to death. It was cold for a few days. So, and trying to sit on that cold toilet seat, ooh, that was terrible.
You were always
But
the dramatic one, yes.
well, luckily, mom had all that water in the basement for us, and we were able to flush the toilet with the gallons of water she had saved.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I do
mean,
remember that. Yeah.
she did a good job of getting ready because she had a little camp stove and we were able to heat water and like actually make food. She had a lot of stuff put away that really saved us in that situation. So,
And she
so I
was
would
smart enough
call.
to get the heck out of there before the
I know
blizzard hit by
she
going to the
must have known it
hospital.
was coming.
I have, so I got this brown journal, if I can interject for just a moment. I got
Yeah.
this brown journal that Christmas of 77, and I started writing in it. And I have the blizzard recorded in here on January 26th. This just says, today we had a blizzard. It was really bad. We had to go down in our basement. Our house was 20 degrees. That's 10 degrees Celsius if you're in the metric system. So I was looking out for the future, knowing that we were going to
We were going
be
to switch over.
leaving the Fahrenheit behind. But it was January 19th. Here's the entry. It says, today there was no school because of the snow, and my mom got sick, mentally sick. She went to the hospital. She'll be there for about a month. So that was January 19th, and literally a week later the blizzard hit. So there's your
Right.
history on that one. So
Good. Well, at least we know the exact date. And then, so I was able to speak with the Birches, even though it was long distance. And at that time, long distance cost some money. But my dad knew that that was my lifeline. So I would go up and talk with Becky. I'd talk with Rodney. I talked with Rodney a lot. I think he was very worried about me. Um, which was really sweet. And then Sister Birch came up with this great idea to warm ourselves. She said to boil water, which we did have the little camp stove, and put it into glass jars, like canning jars, and close them up and then hold them close to us under the blankets like a bed warmer kind of thing. And that really helped a lot. So I was grateful for that information that she had. Sister Birch was just the dearest lady. But so their family really became a second family to me. And when they moved out, which was just before my ninth grade year, they moved to Brazil. They were in Brazil, and I guess Brother Birch had another appointment down there. Um, and it was really a hard day for me when they left. I have tons of pictures of, I have a picture where Rodney's riding a bicycle and I'm on his shoulders. I mean, how silly is that? So I have tons of pictures with their family the day that they left. And it
Right.
was just heartbreaking to me to lose them. But so because they were in Brazil, I did used to write back and forth, mostly to Rodney. And the church was not allowing missionaries to go at 18 back then. They went at 19. But because Rodney was in Brazil, he was somehow allowed to go a year early. So he was allowed to go on his mission when he turned 18. So he did that. While he was on his mission, his family moved back to the States. So I was writing back and forth with him while he was on his mission. And then I happened to be at Rick's College doing my summer Academy Players Theater thing. And that was the summer of '84, best summer of my whole life. Um, Rodney came home from his mission and he happened to have grandparents that lived right there next to Rick's College, in that same area of Idaho. And so he said, I'm coming and I want to see you. So we got together. Um, we did something that evening, went out to dinner or something, and then we drove out to his grandparents' house. And his uncle Doyle was there, who I happened to know because he was a theater person. And we looked at the stars out at his grandparents' house, and that was the most beautiful stars I've ever seen because it was out in the middle of Idaho where it was completely dark. There wasn't a town for miles. And so I just remember being there and just being dumbfounded by how beautiful the stars were. And I think we might have kissed. I think we did, but it just was always awkward with us, and we both realized it, and it was so sad for both of us because we both wanted it to work out, and it just never did. So Rodney ended up marrying a really nice lady, and they have a whole bunch of kids. I can't remember how many exactly. He's my friend on Facebook, and we still communicate. And when Martin and I were down there to Arizona visiting his children a couple years ago when his daughter got married, we actually went out to dinner with Rodney and Becky and Rodney's wife, and I think Sister Birch might have come too. But anyway, we had a really nice evening all together, and of course, laughing about the old days. And so Rodney and I are still close, just like a brother and sister would be. But it didn't really ever turn into any big romance. It's always just been kind of we love each other. But yeah, that's an interesting story. But there was never any like, there was never any like weird, like we didn't do anything we would regret, being Mormon kids and everything. We're supposed to be virtuous. So we didn't do anything weird like that. My
So,
dad would always remind me that I was the bishop's daughter, so I had to be the example for the whole ward, which I
right.
hated. Yes.
Um,
It-
but you always were. So, Aloma is the mom, right?
yeah.
And I see her here. She's not a friend of mine, but I'm going to send her a friend request.
Yeah, she's
I,
still alive. She's doing great. In fact, when we went down there for Ashley's wedding, she let us stay at her house. And she wasn't going to be there, but she let us use her house anyway. And Becky came with and stayed with us while we were there at Aloma's house. And me and Becky were going out at night. Becky had this thing for those little tiny starbursts. They're like starbursts, but they're like almost confetti starbursts.
okay.
And Becky had a real thing for them. So we would go out at night, going around to like 7-Eleven and stuff and looking for these silly little candies for Becky because she had such a like hankering for them. And then she took me over to meet her daughter. Her name's Rochelle. And so I met quite a few of Becky's kids while I was there. But I still feel like they're my brothers and sisters, those kids. So it's pretty
Right.
cool.
Yeah. Um, I don't see Rodney on Facebook. How does he
Well, if
spell
you look
Rodney?
Rodney,
Just okay, huh?
If you
I
look
feel like
on my friends list, he should be there.
I feel like I've seen him before, but I'm not finding him right now. But I'll do that sometime.
And what
I'm
about
not.
Becky? Can you find Becky?
Oh, Becky's been a friend for a long time,
Okay.
but I
And then
don't know.
Sandy's, she's kind of ignoring me lately, but
Yeah.
she's having a tough time. So
Huh.
um so that's about it for my Rodney story. But yeah, just really good guy, really nice family. So grateful to have them in my life still.
Yeah,
So
Becky
even
was always such a beautiful teenage girl, but she was, of course, 3 or 4 years older than me. So
right,
even though I could see that she was a beautiful girl, I knew she was, way out of my league. But her younger daughter, or her younger sister, Sandy
Sandy,
Birch, who was about my age, was pretty cute too. And
she was. Sandy's
I had
very
a
cute.
I had a crush on Sandy there for a while, and that was like the only person in the Sandusky ward that I should be really careful with that statement. But anyway, yeah,
Well,
there weren't a whole lot of options there in Sandusky. Of course, I will let me share this. On April 23rd, 1978, it says today we went to church with some other people, Kelly, Jeff, Deneen, and of course we're talking about
Deneen Henderson
Deneen
and Kelly
Henderson.
and Jeff were brother and sister.
What were their last names? They lived right there by the Christmas tree thing in Bellevue.
Kelly McGinnis?
Well,
No, that's an actress.
that's Tom Cruise's girlfriend in Top
Yeah, that's
Gun.
an actress. That's not her. Kelly. It is kind of an MC name, I think, though. I think
Yeah.
that's why I'm getting a little confused, but I'll give it some thought. I'll ask Shelly Nash. Maybe she'll remember.
And of course, I think Kelly was a class ahead of me, and Jeff was like 2 classes. I think he was maybe in your grade, but
Yeah,
it
he was
does
more in my age. Yeah.
it does note that I like Kelly. So we have that in the journal. So Kelly made it in the journal. Not all girls did, but she did. So
She was a
there's
really nice girl, really fun.
there's that. Yeah. Whatever happened with
So when
Denise Henderson?
Martin Showalter actually moved into our ward right after the Birches left. He came at the beginning of my sophomore year. And when he got here, he has a cousin, Tim, who lives in Sandusky. Their moms are sisters. And Tim was going on about some beautiful Mormon girl who was at Sandusky High School and how Martin had really missed out because she's gone now. And he was talking about Becky Birch. So,
Ah, right, right.
yep. So Tim Layton noticed Becky too.
So Martin was what got swapped out
For Rodney?
for Rodney, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. At least he wished it was that way. At the time, I wasn't all that keen on Martin, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but
that's a
you
long
remember,
story. I guess I'll have to tell the Martin Showalter story someday, which is actually pretty fascinating.
yeah.
So, yeah,
But
that'll be a whole episode in itself.
obviously Martin remembered you after all those years and
He did.
made it all work out. So that's pretty cool.
So
All
here's a
right.
little teaser. Martin said when he got married to his wife down in Arizona, he said when he was saying his vows to his at his wedding, he thought in his head, unless Cheryl becomes available.
Oh, you got to be careful with that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty scary, right?
Unless
My
Cheryl becomes
gosh.
available. Wow, that's pretty good. I'm impressed.
Yeah,
Can you see the screen?
I can see you now. Before it was just the
Okay.
quote.
Do you remember this little guy?
Oh, look how cute. I was really into cross stitch for a while.
So you did this, I think, right before I went on my mission.
Aw, that's lovely.
So,
I made a great big one for Todd Thomas. It had that
well,
whole thing about the field is white, all ready to harvest.
figures that Todd would get the big one and brother would get the little one, but
I wonder, I wonder if Todd still has that. I worked so hard on that dang thing.
Todd often catches these on replay. So
Yeah,
we'll see if something comes out of this.
yeah.
So,
Maybe he'll
um,
tell me if he still has it or not.
so I was actually feeling pretty special about this, but now that you told me about the Todd one, you kind of blew up
Yeah,
the
sorry.
whole the whole
I'll have
meaning
to
there.
make
But
a big one. Maybe if Todd
um,
doesn't want his anymore, he can send it to you.
yeah, yeah, but knowing it came from you, I imagine he's going to want it and want to keep it. So anyway, well, hey, I'm going to get out to the stadium here, get a little exercise, and tomorrow night is Testimony Tuesday. I think, Cheryl, I think tomorrow night I'm going to share the story about the missionaries in the grain bin.
Oh, that's such a good story.
That's not necessarily has a whole lot to do with testimony, but it does have to do with missionaries and missionary work in the church. So I
Well,
think
in a way it does though, because of dad, what happened with dad and everything. So yeah, that's a
I
great
don't.
story.
When you say, I guess I'm not following you, but maybe we can talk about that offline if we need to.
Yeah, let's talk about
So,
it offline because I don't want to wreck your story.
okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, hey, thank you all for joining. Thank you for catching us on the replay. And we will catch you tomorrow night. Cheryl, thanks for jumping in here. And you guys all have a great evening. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.